so expensive.
$2.99 per nail.
No, per set. So I was like, I can swing that.
Now would be.
That'd be $30.
Yeah.
All right, are we ready?
Yep.
Okay, it's 6:30, let's call this meeting to order. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Rob with the motion, can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions, concerns, comments, changes? Okay, all those in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Moving on to consent items. Can I get a motion to approve consent items?
I'll move to approve the consent items.
Sarah with the motion, can I get a second?
I can second.
Or a second, any issues, additions, anything, comments? Seeing none, can I get a vote? All those in favor of approving consent items, say aye.
Aye.
Motion, I have no idea. I'm telling you, I'm on like a post-prom
Brain.
sleep deprivation, and multiple chart meetings, okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Moving on to communication from the public. None. To the director's report.
So yeah, Lisa actually is using this as an excuse not to be at a track meet tonight.
Beautiful, I don't understand why.
Sorry, bud, not gonna be there.
So, all right. We did 38 passports this month. It was like a breath of fresh air. So actually we had, the week that I was on vacation, we had blocked. They didn't do any passports. So the week I came back, there were a whole bunch scheduled, but nobody showed up. So they must have all found appointments somewhere else in the
Oh.
meantime is what we figured. Since then we're picking back up again. So yeah, circulation was down a little bit, and the number who through the door compared to March, but March we had spring break and we had lots of extra programs, so it's kind of what we were seeing. Library Giving Day generated over $1,000 in cash donations for the Friends of the Library, and we published an Amazon wish list as well for supplies for summer reading and got it almost completely filled. So it was a good day. I helped with the Friends of the Library, had an activity tent planting flowers at the Friends of the Park's Earth Day 5K. Was that last weekend? It's a beautifully windy,
A week
awful
ago Saturday,
day.
yeah.
I will be off for a few days next week again, the 12th to the 16th. May 23rd to the 28th, Fairway will be doing its annual roundup for the Friends of the Library. That's always a big fundraiser for them. And they're always fortunate enough to get it the week of Memorial Day. So it's always a really good roundup. And then we just found out yesterday too that the Friends got a $500 grant from Walmart for summer reading expenses. So we plan to use that. We're doing a summer reading or a summer celebration at the end of summer reading out at Jester Park, and we're going to use that to buy the hot dogs and chips and marshmallows and all that good stuff. We filmed our summer reading promotional video last Friday out at Jester Park. It was supposed to be outdoors. It was in the nature lodge because it was pouring rain. And it will be, we've ordered bookmarks like we do every year with kind of all the events. So those are supposed to be in this week, and then the school librarians will show the video during their library time and get everybody all fired up for summer reading. And then our kickoff for summer reading will be May 26th at the farmer's market from 4 to 7. So that's the first day they can register and hope for good weather. And the Friends will have an activity at the City Police Summer Kickoff. Nice there, Jamie. That's Friday, June 3rd. They're hoping that they don't have a tornado warning like they did last year. So we got most of our toys back out now. The Lego table went back out this weekend, so I think all of the toys are out of quarantine now. I'll be doing staff evaluations the next 2 weeks in preparation for wage approvals at the June board meeting. The surplus electronic equipment that we approved last month, that auction for Gov Deals ended this afternoon, and the whole lot sold for $101. And the guy bought this from Omaha, and he's got to come pick it up. So,
I'll pay for some sort of shipping.
yeah. Well, no, because we said we wouldn't ship, so.
Oh, no, but
Oh.
he might have somebody come pick it
Yeah,
up.
that's true. So part of the citywide project to make the building safer, they were having panic buttons, and our panic button is supposed to be installed this week. And our new wireless router should be here within like this week or next week. So we're ready for that. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Then mentionable, okay. Liaison report.
So last meeting, and we had a work session meeting prior to that, we engaged a architectural firm, I mean, we referring to them correctly, but to do some designs for the new city buildings downtown. So they're starting to, and they'll start meet with groups, and then they'll be the ones that'll be setting public meetings and giving feedback on the new buildings that'll be coming here in the next year or so, year or two. So that's exciting. Other than that, Jim's been kind of late the last couple meetings. Not technically city council, but we had the first festival parade meeting last week. So very excited that will be coming back. The festival will look similar to what it did last year, but I think that'll be another 1 year non-full festival, and then next year back to normal. So kind of similar to last year with the addition of a parade, which is better than it was, but a little disappointing we couldn't get back to normal sooner, but working on it. So.
Questions for, all right. Board education. So I watched a Iowa State Library training on 13 ways to kill your community. The people from the library associate or state library put on the presentation, but then they talked about this book by Griffin called 13 Ways to Kill Your Community. And it was, I want to read the book now. The video from like the state library kind of annoyed me because I, have like a lot going on, and it was like there was some technical difficulty. Well, like, so they played a video of this guy talking about the 13 ways, and then they had buffering issues, and they're like, oh no, there's, I feel bad for them. And then there was somebody that wasn't definitely on mute, and so it was a video from a couple of years ago, and I was like, like it was from 2019, and they're like, and then they're so nice, like, can somebody please mute your Zooms? And I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna probably strangle somebody, but so I mean, so I would like to read the book, but I will give you like the synopsis of like what the 13 ways are. So this is a book that was written by this guy from this Griffin from like Canada, and he actually has his own consulting company that's called 13 Ways, and he's from Canada, but he's done a lot of work in the United States, and it kind of what I picked up from the video is that there's a lot of towns even in Iowa that read the book. Have you heard about it? Have you guys done anything with it? So like they'll, just not just library, but it obviously deals with like councils and mayors can utilize it, and they do like kind of like studies where like a book study where everybody reads it and you talk about it. But it's just like in his practice of the 13 ways that you can kill your community, or ways to kill your community. And obviously a lot of it is for smaller towns where the community's kind of dying. So like when I listened to it, I was thinking of like where I grew up, and I'm sure Rob will think about the same thing. But so there's 13 ways, and then in the video they kind of pick some that relate more to libraries, but I'm gonna go through all of them too, and just because, I guess I didn't even, did you check the time?
6:35.
Okay, yeah, thank you. When we roll, like, we can talk about like how they could interact with libraries as well. So like number one is don't have quality water. So I mean that's a little bit less than what the library is gonna do, but like from a city itself, like if you don't have quality water or a good resource for water, your community's gonna die because people aren't gonna wanna stay where there's bad water. Number 2 is don't attract business. So if you can't entice new businesses, or people are anti-bringing new businesses because they're afraid they're gonna compete with current businesses, then you're really just gonna kill your community. I can't remember the quote, but it was something like, the minute you start competing with other businesses is like the minute you're gonna die, because even though you don't want competition, you need it for survival. So, that's again a little bit less library focused, it's more community. This one can be library. Number 3 is ignore youth. And it's very important. So like the book is written about, so these are ways to kill a community. So it's like written like, so it says it's very important to push youth away. And I don't mean kids, I mean young families. So it's satire. So like he's writing it like, these are things you would do to kill your community. So obviously you don't want to ignore your youth. And in the presentation, they talked about how if you actually replace youth with the word future, it kind of brings into play, like if you ignore youth, you're ignoring your future of your town. It talked a little bit about like recruiting and doing like student programs where you maybe bring students to be interns on city council or junior city council members, or and how can you maybe do the same for library boards to potentially bring interest. What happens when people leave? Are you gonna have enough interested people to want to succeed and take those jobs or these positions that we're appointed for? They talk about like what are your strategic goals, what would it look like if all your board was under 40 or 45, would it be different than how you do things now, which I think we have traditionally, I would say in smaller towns you probably see a lot of older retired people on library boards and city councils, maybe some, so it's a little bit different for us, but that's kind of where they were pushing that. They really kind of talked about like how you can maintain to recruit, because if once you ignore that youth or that future, or you lose them because they leave and go somewhere else, it's hard to get them back. And if anybody that's lived in a small town knows that's just the truth. So number 4 is don't assess your community needs or values. So every community lacks something, whether it's a small town that lacks daycare services or a hardware store, or it's a large city that lacks community spirit or has traffic issues. Every community has needs. So if you're not assessing your community needs, and that can tie into libraries, like if we're not if we're not reaching out to all demographics, or we're not, maintaining relationships within the community, then that can help kill, I guess, the library per se. Going back to the youth, they did talk, and I didn't realize this too, that some cities or some libraries actually have like meetings during the day, so they're not able to attract younger board members because they're working. And I was like, oh, we all do, like, so I thought that was
Yeah,
interesting.
could you imagine if we had the board meeting at 2
I don't, none of us were probably be on here, but number 5 is shop elsewhere. We all know that, spending dollars locally, what they say, shopping locally will keep dollars in your community, and every dollar spent within a community reaches 7 other hands before it leaves the community, which keeps the local economy advancing. And then each dollar spent outside the community is gone forever. Don't paint is number 6. That's talking about, kind of like paint, but slow, painful destruction be consumed or summed up in 2 words, don't paint. So like if you're not keeping your town, looking good, people aren't going to want to come. So the community's appearance is its most telling sign of its own pride. It's the clearest indication of faith itself and the clearest outward sign of the future. Keep painting, keep making your town, your library attractive and wanting to bring people there. And I think the city's obviously working on that by looking for new buildings and whatnot. Number 7 is don't cooperate. If you refuse to meaningfully cooperate with other organizations, boards, agencies, then you're going to see a loss of town. So what kind of in the presentation I talked about what other groups do you interact with? Like, does the library, like, do they interact with schools? Do they interact with, like, the Legion? I mean, I think the Legion promotes some of your, so what other businesses and boards are we interacting with to push our mission? Number 8 is live in the past. To destroy a community takes the right attitude. Living in the past is an absolute essential attitude to kill your community. So, you know, you can be a happy person that just thinks the future is fraught with peril and we should never move forward, but return to the glory days of old, or you can be one that dwells in the past. So just like living in the past, you have to like look towards the future and how you're going to develop and be better. So it's interesting, so they talk about ignoring the youth, they also talk about ignoring the seniors. That you don't want to ignore your seniors. One group you must regulate to back room and side streets because they are a dangerous group that could cause a riot of success. So, you know, if your seniors aren't happy, then they too could cause a downfall. So, you know, it's kind of like you want to serve all members. Like we want to serve all members. Some communities think it's best to warehouse them in old folks' homes, assuming they will just play shuffleboard in crib and harmlessly until they die. They're wrong. They will get out and do things like volunteer and spend money. As long as they're in the community they call home, they are dangerous. You best give them nothing of what they want and need, so they must leave then, and then only then can your community enjoy a slow and inevitable death. It was interesting, so like in her example, she talked about how like people always say that seniors are, you know, not wanting to advance or grow with things, they don't want to advance with technology. And the example she used, I think she was from Bettendorf Library, she said that they got this, like you know, the kiosks, how you check yourself out. And so there was a senior lady and she was showing her how to do it. And, you know, instead of like being frustrated, she was super excited. She's like, I can't wait till I can tell everybody about this magic you have here. Like she was like super excited about it. So you have to, number 10 is be short-sighted. So if you confine your thoughts to only local issues and local problems, or be short-sighted, you're going to no longer develop. Few communities actually succeed with their own creative, unique ideas because there are so few original ideas and mistakes that accompany are costly. So most borrow them from other successful groups that will most happily share what works for them. Ensuring failure, however, requires trying the same thing you've always done. So, obviously don't be short-sighted, which I think we're pretty good about, like looking at how we can do things differently and whatnot. Number 11, ignore immigrants and newcomers. Newcomers and immigrants bring an entrepreneurial attitude and community spirit that make them a threat or failure of your community. So again, satire. They come from places where they've never had what we have, so they see our communities as a world of open possibilities and find fantastic life with little work. So obviously, don't ignore the immigrants and newcomers. Be open to other peoples and other ideas. Number 12 is become complacent. Success can happen to anybody. Once you have some success, the best way to ensure it goes away to assume it will always come to you and require no effort on your part. So we don't want to become complacent in what we do. I think we do really good on like trying to be proactive and promote the city, promote the library. And then number 13 is don't take responsibility. So ensuring failure is easy if you can recruit the type of people that blame everything wrong and every challenge on someone else. Positive thinking, enterprising, and entrepreneurial people recognize a void as an opportunity to make money, develop new skills, or experience new challenge. Negative people see challenges as impossible obstacles to overcome. So, obviously, we have to take responsibility for what we need to do. So it's obviously a nonfiction book. They outline 13 ways communities sabotage themselves, often without knowing it. Now that you've learned the 13 ways of the community, go out as an individual. You have the ability to change yourself and the future of your community. Go ahead and fight the attitudes that sabotage success. So that's really kind of what it was. Like they really talked about the ones that hit upon libraries, the youth, the seniors, be short-sighted, and kind of like paired it to how it would work for libraries. And I honestly, had I had more time, I probably would have just read the book and used that as my Board of Education, but I've heard it's very quick reading, so I guess, I mean, I would suggest maybe you pick up a copy and see if it's something that the city would want to do as a board retreat or something, and maybe it's something that we can dive a little deeper into. Have you read it, or?
And like I said, he was just the keynote speaker at our conference last October.
From the clip I saw, he was a very dynamic speaker.
He was.
And, you know, would have been really good to see, but, okay. Well, that's, I mean, any questions on it, or? Like, I would recommend, like I said, people read it. Like, when they had people, it was a Zoom, so they had people like chatting in, which obviously I couldn't see what they said, like, you know, some of the people chatting in are like, you know, our mayor bought it for all our council to read, or we read it as a library board, or, you know, one board member had it and shared it, so I'll probably try to have it read by next meeting, but I just thought it was interesting. So it's called 13 Ways to Kill Your Community.
And I think that's the name of the book.
Yeah, you have 13 Ways to Kill Your Community, and it's by, and they added, or his website is 13ways.com, I think, but it's you can't see a lot in his because he's obviously a consultant and he's not going to give away the part. But his name is Doug Griffiths, Griffiths, 13 Ways Incorporated.
Like I said, when he was our keynote speaker at the ILA conference, and I said, as you're sitting there listening to him, and I was trying to go back through to find my notes, I couldn't find them quick enough, but I said, as you listen to him go through each point really in depth, I'm like, you can pull out of whether it's the community you grew up in or the community, you know, there were things in there you're going, oh yeah, I've seen that in Polk City.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that like a lot of it is like the not wanting new business or growth. I think you have some people that are, you know, both into that sort of coin, and yeah, but I could.
That darn stoplight.
You know, as I started listening to it, I was thinking about Polk City, but then the more I listened, I'm like, I mean, some of it
The
applies.
super small
But
towns.
this applies a lot to the super small towns,
Especially like engaging your youth and stuff. Like I remember wanting to get out in my
Oh, yeah.
community.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing to do.
Nothing to do.
I grew up in a town of 85 people. There's nothing to do.
In Iowa?
Yeah.
Which town's that?
What?
Which town's that?
Yorktown.
That's
It's
just
the-
under 3,000.
What?
I came from just under 3,000.
Yeah.
Well, I know them, Ross. Where'd you grow up?
1,100 people.
Oh, so we're all small.
Yeah, well, I grew up on a farm, but the nearest town was like 80 people too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we all kind of,
Yeah. The town I graduated from probably had like 25.
Yeah, the town I graduated from was 3,000 at the time. They've actually grown.
any questions on that or anything?
No, sounds good. I mean, there's some things I think of from like a business perspective too that is really relevant.
Sure. Okay, so whatever.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. So moving on. So agenda items. So we need to review tier standards section 5, virtual spaces.
All right, so these standards for accreditation, the library offers public access internet-enabled devices and staff trained in their use. We do. The library counts the total number of public use of internet-enabled devices in the library. We do that as well. The library provides a printer for public use. Yes. The library provides wireless internet. Yes. The library maintains a current website. Yes. We budget for computer replacement on a regular basis. We do. We set aside a computer location for use by children and or young adults. So that is not a mandated standard. We have the off stations for the kids, but we don't have, when we did at one point have computers set aside that were like the teen computer, they always just sat down over here anyway. So we just moved them all together. And the library has access to broadband internet access, yes. And we promote our online database products. We do, but the state doesn't really offer many of them anymore because nobody was using them. And we provide access to promote downloadable materials in our collection. So if we subscribe to the Libby through the state and have our ebooks and audiobooks. And it's not a mandated standard, but it provides access to digitized local collections. We really don't have anything like that. It says local newspapers, things like that, we don't have. local newspaper, so. But we are in compliance with everything that we need to be compliant for certificate or accreditation in February.
Any questions? Comments? Okay. Review and approve quote for gutter repair replacement.
All right, so this is where it comes down to painting, right? So, 2 weeks ago,
You have to get it back there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, well, it'll be 2 weeks this week, on Wednesday, it was pouring rain. I was probably at City Hall for our department head meeting. But the coffee ladies had called Melissa and they're like, look, and the water was literally just pouring straight down out of the gutters. And then Saturday when I was here working, there were 2 places that it was just pouring straight down out of the gutters.
Outside.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I had emailed or got a hold of Public Works right away. They came up, took a look, said we gotta get a gutter company involved. The next day the gutter company was out and gave us 3 options for fixing it. One was repairing the south and west gutters and resealing all the corners for $400. The second option was to replace the south and west gutters and reseal all of the corners for $18.80. And the third option was to replace all of the gutters with seamless 6-inch gutters, reusing the existing downspouts for $3,660. So the building is 17 years old, so the gutters would be 17.
Can you move some things to make it work in the budget too?
I think that I did a budget analysis last week on our budget, and I think that I'm confident that we'll be okay with our budget even if we choose to replace all of the gutters.
Do you have a preference or a thought of what you'd like to do?
Did they give you any background on what they thought you should do?
They did not.
Okay.
Um,
And then her question, which is more important.
My thought is like, we saw the one leak 2 weeks ago. Saturday I saw 2 big leaks. I'm guessing it's just a matter of time before they're all leaking. So, and I think the back this was in a different spot, but the back last year is where it was all pulled away from the building anyway.
Yep,
So,
remember that? Yeah, that's had the most hits from weather hits that side the most. And trees and stuff out there and other things, but, so it's gonna go first, which it did, so.
If we can make it work financially, it makes most sense to do the, yeah.
If it was my house, I'd do it all,
Mhm.
I agree.
as long as we can make it work, that's
Yeah,
what I
So
would
we
do.
still have some of that relief money? Did we get some?
So we have CARES money. I'm looking for my, where did I put my budget analysis here that I did the other day.
My other question is, Jamie, like, do we go with them or like do you get like someone to come do another bid before if we were gonna replace the whole thing?
We can do it either way. Like I said, this is what I got from Public Works.
Okay.
Because that's who I go to when I have a building issue.
So this is a quote from Public Works.
So the Public Works had, was it called K-Guard come out and do the look. And I think, you might know, I don't think I have to have multiple bids unless it's over,
I was just gonna
is
ask.
it 20,000?
I don't know what the threshold
Okay.
is.
I am certain that the 3,000 falls within.
Okay.
And honestly, when I'm seeing, as I was scrolling down and see the email, first this was an attachment, and Toby had said, you know, replacing all, or I guess my thought was, I was thinking replacing all of the gutters was going to be a $15,000 expense. So I was pleasantly surprised to see 3,600.
Yeah, if I was looking at the place, I would have guessed 7, so, but, yeah. No, I think it's a great quote, so.
Heather too, you may want to get another quote.
Okay.
Talk to Chelsea just to,
Yep.
so you have it. And other than time, I don't know. I'm sure you guys' decision. I'm not trying to But if there's any question about what the threshold is, then
I find out what the threshold is and see what she says. Is he a local person? Looks like he's got a Polk City.
No, this is Toby from Polk City sent me this
Okay.
information from
Oh,
K-Guard.
Okay.
Sorry. So,
I mean, if it's below the threshold, I'll be okay unless you worry about public view that you're not opening it up, but I would say we could still make a motion to approve up
Replacing.
to that much or up to like $4,000 or, and if she goes back and gets another, if she needs to go back and get another quote, she can and then make the determination. Would be my suggestion, but I would call for a motion on
and
that.
I'll just say, I finally found what I was looking for. It looks, I anticipate being under budget this year by probably $25,000. Thanks to grant money and stuff like that, so. And passport revenue.
Bring down and play for a while.
Being down an employee for a while too. And actually, yeah, our, I mean, and revenue doesn't factor, it's all weird line items, but we're gonna be over our anticipated revenue by about $42,000 because of grants and passports. So, yeah, passports, it's been a big revenue boost. So,
Well, should we just approve up to $4,000 for gutter replacement, I guess, right?
For a full gutter replacement.
Full gutter replacement pending discussion with city manager, and then you can just see what she wants to
So
say.
what I get is part of the grant.
I just moved to approve.
Okay, can I,
An expense of up to $4,000 for gutter replacement pending approval and discussion with city manager.
can I get a second?
I'll say.
Robert, second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion passes. So next we review personnel policy and criminal background checks.
And those
which
are
pretty much just the city's point.
exactly, it's the city's, but it's one of those, the personnel policy is one that has to be reviewed annually per the state. And then we just have it I just have it tied in at the same time with that background check policy.
Sure.
So it's just basically reviewing it and saying, we looked at it and we want to make changes or we don't want to make changes.
Okay. Any questions, comments,
And you just
concerns?
said that straight out of the city, so.
Yeah.
It is, yep.
Most of that.
Seeing none, then we're gonna review job descriptions.
All right, so these I had sent to you, so we are adding in, and if you open any of those, you will see that Carol doesn't have them finalized. The stuff that is in red at the bottom was the physical requirements and working conditions that we were adding to the job descriptions. So basically, just was there any feedback on these, anything else that you think I should add to them?
Personally, I would like to see a more substantial physical demand than this, but I don't know what the city does for their others. I mean, if we approve like this or whatever, or probably approve that this is what you go for, and we work towards getting something, but I don't know that this is as good as I would like to see.
Okay.
I did send Chelsea a resource that has like pretty good, but maybe she chose not to go with it.
Well, and she did not,
Oh,
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen, all I was told was add physical and working conditions.
okay. I will send it to you.
So this is what I said to them. I know that she's planning, I think this will go to council. I believe the job descriptions are going next week, maybe to council for approval. But I can
Well, I mean,
definitely,
if she's, I just think having more of a specific physical demands is better. From
Okay.
like the ADA, from, everything, so I agree.
Alright. So yeah, because honestly, I would have no idea. I mean, I pulled these from other job descriptions that I could find because I truly didn't know what to put in there.
So, and
So you want to mention might have to lift 50 pounds or
I
might,
think you put some weight, and books can be heavy.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, so I mean,
That's why it says ability to lift up to 50 pounds, because the boxes of
I don't
books
see that on here.
are, okay.
Those
Oh, and
first two
maybe,
don't, the use
okay,
boxes don't.
because,
Okay.
so the director does, because that's the one I have open, I think assistant director, youth services.
Oh, does it?
My library pages, and like Linda would never do that. I mean, we're the ones who end up picking, like unboxing the boxes of books.
I don't see-
Nothing,
I didn't
don't
see, the
see
director one is
I
half
don't see
like,
it on the director.
is
I
not
don't
all
see it in
the way completed, like there was,
I don't see it in the
There's-
it's
directory.
really weird because I just clicked on the link and I've got it all the way down. It's on the bottom of page 2.
The only one I've seen it on so far is the youth.
That is
Because I'm looking at the clerk and I just open up the page.
Also, on the library director, number 16 is blank.
number 6.
Okay, you have it on the page and youth director, but I don't see it on library director, assistant.
Oh yeah, I see 16 is blank. Yep, I can see that. And but you can't get to a second page.
I see a second page, but
Right, it
it
doesn't have any.
it stops with other necessary requirements and number 5 must obtain.
Okay, other necessary requirements is page 3 on mine.
There is no page 2
And it's
then.
on page 2.
And that's really weird because I literally just clicked the same link in the agenda.
I just opened mine back up again.
Did you, and I opened it back up too, a couple times now. Did you save that? You have like a copy you haven't published or something?
These were just sent to me in an email by Carol. I mean, I have mine and then I had sent it to her and
Who's
then
Carol?
Carol is the deputy, or the, yeah, not deputy clerk. She's at City Hall.
Oh, I see him on the, okay, the line.
what's her name?
Carol.
Carol Thornburg.
What's her role? Deputy clerk?
No, she's not the deputy clerk. She is
Accounting,
the accounting specialist. Now, the city is without a deputy clerk right now, so she has been taking on some of those roles, which is why she's doing the
I mean, it doesn't have to be
editing.
that, but you know what I'm saying? This is more than this. I mean, it doesn't have to be this much, but that's something that that's what I tell all my people that they should have a better physical man for that.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Okay, so here.
Oh,
I mean, it's just, and I'm coming from like ADA, like
Right.
workers' comp, and I'm not, so this is, I thought I sent her the link, I showed it to her the other day. So this is for a library director, so they're like, you know, frequently standing, sitting, occasionally walking, kneeling. So I always tell people that they can use this as a template, and then you could look at it and make changes, and then it could be, you know, implemented into your, this is just a template, but that's, I just think the more detailed, the better. Especially like if you ever start doing physicals for, you know, for like pre-employment or anything to make sure that somebody can do the job. And you would be surprised because like librarians are a much higher, library employees are much higher like work comp risk than some like administrators because of the books and stuff they're lifting, so. Again, I mean, I don't know how often they're gonna update their job descriptions. I mean, if you have to approve it as is going forward, and then we look at it for future, that would be, I get it, but that's more what I was hoping for. Okay. So, that's to you.
And I did just forward Carol's email to all of you too with the attached job descriptions. It's not showing up on yours.
Of course, the hotspots getting used.
Yeah, I pretty much put in
That's where it was on there.
the same thing on all of them. I don't think, like I said, it was
It's
the
on there,
pages.
It is when you open up the email that she just sent.
Wow. It'll take a while for us to make it up.
So, and I guess I did even with the pages, it has the ability to, so it says intermediate periods of standing, walking, and sitting, ability to lift up to 50 pounds, frequent kneeling, crouching, reaching, handling, talking, hearing, near and far sight acuity, some exposure to extreme weather conditions, including cold, heat, humid conditions, and other environmental conditions.
Which shows what we're working on.
Yeah, well, we may have a program outdoors when it's hot.
It's very,
Yeah, you know, yeah. So that's what all of them said. actually. I was thinking I took the 50 pounds out for the pages because they're never the ones that are lifting the boxes of books. But and then, like I said, the city is adding in the exempt, non-exempt, and then the pay grades. They're not in there yet because that's something that I think that council still has to approve in May. Is kind of what Chelsea's been here the last 2 months talking to you about.
Does other, I guess I gave my 2 cents, what thoughts from other individual people?
I don't really have anything else to add, to be honest.
I'm gonna send out to everybody what I'm sending her. Anything else from anybody else? So do you, I mean, no really actions needed, you just want us to review them?
Basically, I wanted feedback on what I had added in there for physical requirements.
I guess, and you didn't put it in here, were we supposed to assign a new board of education for next semester?
Oh,
It's gotta be my turn.
He just volunteered.
I know.
Well, it's gotta be my turn.
You did that one time too.
I've done for a long
It's like if
time.
everybody stays silent, somebody will buckle.
Yeah. Well, I know it's my
Do
turn.
one of these things.
so.
I can't even do that move because I know it's not. It's my turn.
So Corey will do it next month?
So, I'll send, what do you want me to send you some?
Sure.
Okay.
And then it looks like we have to appoint a committee to complete the annual review of the library director. I almost did like evaluations as my class that I'm taking, this is all on employee evaluations, but.
Oh, awesome. You just
That
volunteered.
is, as I said, I will tell you that the next 2 weeks as I work on evaluations is my least favorite part of the job.
But it's interesting because this whole class is all about like performance appraisal systems and how to, and yeah, it's actually been very interesting.
So,
I didn't do it last year, so I'm sure I
did it last year, so I take my name out.
So this is trying to do like this. Who did it last year? Was it you two? Or was it
No,
just you?
wasn't it? I think it was-
Me and Corey, did you help me?
Yes, that's right, I did. Well, the years run together,
Yeah,
I
it says.
forget. I do remember doing that
Sorry.
now. Yes, that's right, we did.
So, and I will say that I may then also lean back onto that personnel committee as we try and navigate the new wage scale that it has not been approved yet by the city. So we don't know if it's exactly
Okay.
gonna be as Chelsea put it out there or not.
Okay.
But especially as I then have to determine where my staff is, I have a pretty good idea of where they're going to land.
Sure. Well, I will put myself on that committee just because of probably my turn and it's kind of my area of profession, so.
And Chelsea had like a new form or template that everyone was using now, right? So I think you sent me something that we had to go.
So
over.
yes, so last year was the first year that we had a citywide evaluation template. So it's not the same template that I had used prior for evaluating employees. So now every department uses the same
That's FYI.
form.
Did you, do I want to read on my volunteering?
I can send it to
Everything
you.
you'll just be, yes, and
She's already got it.
you're so helpful.
Yep.
Who else would like to help me as I look across the table?
I can help.
I just keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, you look at it, I see you look at Angie like. Okay.
I'd do it if you
Guys,
needed me to.
smart.
I heard him, he said next year. He said next year.
Or did we want to keep it to 2 so it wasn't a quorum, is what I think.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what we did last
So
year.
we'll do 2, you can do it next year. Make sure you know that.
Put it in notes.
Since I did it last year, we did it this year, it'll be just.
Preemptive damage.
Just me by myself.
Yeah. All right, anything else on that topic for you? Okay.
I'm just gonna point out, next month's meeting will be at Miller Park. We have a live summer reading adult programming here that night, so.
All right, if there's nothing else to talk about, I would take a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Motion, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes, meeting adjourned at 7:15.
Sounds good.